Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a listener request. And let me tell you, this one hits close to home for anyone dreaming of a financially comfortable retirement. We're talking Roth IRA conversions and how they might just be the upgrade your retirement plan needs. I've got a mountain of your research on this, and frankly, I'm a little intimidated. Luckily, our expert speaker is here to guide us through the ins and outs, ready to unlock the secrets of tax-efficient retirement. Expert speaker.
Absolutely. And trust me, you're not alone in feeling a little overwhelmed. Roth conversions can feel like navigating a financial maze, but the potential payoffs, think lower taxes in retirement and even tax-free inheritance for your loved ones, are well worth the effort.
Okay, that's already piquing my interest, tax-free inheritance.
Yeah.
But let's back up for a second. You're saying Roth conversions are like a turbo boost for my retirement savings. I've always just assumed I'd stick with my traditional IRA.
And that's a perfectly valid approach for many. But here's the thing. With traditional retirement accounts, you're essentially kicking the tax can down the road. You might be enjoying those tax deductions now, but those taxes come due when you start taking withdrawals in retirement. And depending on your tax bracket then, those withdrawals could end up costing you a hefty chunk of your hard-earned savings.
That's a sobering thought. So with a Roth IRA, I'm basically paying those taxes up front in exchange for tax-free withdrawals later on.
Precisely. It's like making a strategic investment in your future self. You see, when you convert funds from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, you're essentially transforming those pre-tax dollars into after-tax dollars. And once those dollars are in the Roth, all future growth and qualified withdrawals are completely tax-free.
Okay, that's starting to make sense. But wouldn't it make more sense to just start with a Roth IRA from the get-go? Why go through the hassle of converting later?
That's where things get really interesting. You see, it's all about timing and taking advantage of potential differences in your tax bracket now versus in retirement. For example, imagine you're a young professional just starting your career. You're probably in a lower tax bracket now than you will be later in life when you're further along in your career and earning a higher income. Converting to a Roth early on allows you to lock in those lower tax rates and potentially save a significant amount in taxes over the long run.
So it's like a bet on your future earning potential. You're betting that you'll be in a higher tax bracket later, so you might as well pay those taxes now while they're lower.
You got it. And it's not just about young professionals. Imagine you're nearing retirement, or maybe you've just retired and you find yourself in a lower tax bracket than you anticipate being in a few years. This could be due to factors like changes in your income, deductions, or even tax law changes. Converting to a Roth during these low-income years could allow you to take advantage of those temporarily lower rates.
That's incredibly strategic. But your research also mentions converting during market downturns. Why would I want to do that? Wouldn't it make more sense to convert when the market is up and my investments are worth more?
That seems counterintuitive, but it's a brilliant move. Remember, when you convert from a traditional to a Roth IRA, you're essentially paying taxes on the value of the assets you're converting. When the market is down, your account balances are lower. This means you'll be paying taxes on a smaller amount, which can lead to significant tax savings in the long run, especially as those assets recover in value and potentially grow even more within the tax-sheltered haven of a Roth IRA.
So it's like buying low and selling high, but with taxes. I'm starting to see the appeal. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a closer look at some specific scenarios where a Roth conversion might make sense.
Absolutely. Let's dive into some real-world examples to illustrate how powerful this strategy can be.
Perfect. And while we're at it, let's address those intriguing tidbits you mentioned earlier about potential tax advantages for your beneficiaries and strategies for mitigating the upfront tax hit of a conversion. We'll be back right after this quick break. And we're back. Before the break, we were diving into the strategic ins and outs of Roth IRA conversions, and you hinted at some serious perks for our loved ones. I have to admit, I'm intrigued by this whole tax-free inheritance concept. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Absolutely. You see, when you leave a traditional IRA or 401k to your heirs, they inherit not only the assets, but also the tax liability. They'll have to pay income taxes on any withdrawals they take from those inherited accounts, just like they would with their own traditional retirement accounts.
So even though I might have enjoyed those tax deductions during my working years, the IRS still gets their share eventually.
Yeah.
Even if it's my beneficiaries who end up paying.
That's the gist of it. But here's where a Roth IRA shines in terms of legacy planning. Because you already paid taxes on the money you contributed to a Roth IRA, your beneficiaries can withdraw both the contributions and any earnings completely tax-free.
That's a game changer. It's like giving them a gift that keeps on giving without any strings or tax bills attached.
Exactly. And it highlights a crucial aspect of Roth conversions that often gets overlooked. It's not just about minimizing your own taxes in retirement, it's also about potentially reducing your loved one's tax burden down the road. It's a way to ensure that more of your hard-earned savings end up in the hands of the people you care about most.
That's a powerful legacy to leave behind. Okay, so we've covered some compelling reasons why someone might consider a Roth conversion. But what about the flip side? What are some potential drawbacks or challenges people should be aware of?
That's a critical question. The most significant consideration is the upfront tax hit. When you convert from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, the amount you convert is treated as taxable income in the year you make the conversion.
So if I have a large traditional IRA and decide to convert it all at once, I could be looking at a hefty tax bill that year.
That's a possibility, and it's why a gradual strategic approach is often recommended. Instead of converting your entire balance at once, consider spreading the conversion out over several years. This can help you manage your taxable income each year and potentially avoid getting bumped into a higher tax bracket.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot, converting enough to take advantage of the Roth benefits, but not so much that it throws your tax situation out of whack.
Exactly. It's like a financial balancing act, and a skilled financial advisor can be your trusted guide, helping you determine the optimal conversion amount each year based on your individual circumstances and goals.
It sounds like working with a financial advisor is key when navigating these waters. But let's talk about the mechanics for a moment. You've mentioned that converting during a market downturn can be advantageous from a tax perspective. But are there other strategic times to consider?
Absolutely. Imagine you're nearing retirement and you know your income will be significantly lower once you stop working. This is a prime opportunity to consider a Roth conversion. Since you'll likely be in a lower tax bracket during those early retirement years, you can convert a portion of your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA while taking advantage of those lower rates.
So it's all about being proactive and anticipating those life changes that could impact your tax situation.
Precisely. And remember, those required minimum distributions, or RMDs, we talked about earlier. With traditional IRAs and 401ks, you're required to start taking withdrawals and paying taxes on those withdrawals once you reach age 73. But with a Roth IRA, no RMDs. This means your money can continue growing tax-free throughout your lifetime, and you have more flexibility to decide when and how much you want to withdraw.
That's a huge advantage, especially for folks who don't need to tap into their retirement savings right away and want to let their investments continue to compound tax-free. It's
Yeah.
like having an extra layer of control over your retirement income.
You got it. And speaking of control, let's circle back to those fixed index annuities, or FIAs, we touched on earlier. While they're not directly related to Roth conversions, they can be a strategic addition to a diversified retirement portfolio, especially within the context of a Roth IRA.
Okay, I'm all ears. Remind us how FIAs work again and how they might fit into the bigger picture of a Roth conversion strategy.
Imagine this. You've decided to convert a portion of your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, taking advantage of a lower tax bracket. Now you're looking for a way to potentially protect a portion of those Roth assets from market volatility while still allowing for some growth potential. This is where FIAs come in.
So instead of having all of my Roth IRA invested directly in the stock market, I could allocate a portion to an FIA, which would provide some downside protection.
Exactly. You see, with an FIA, your money isn't directly invested in the stock market. Instead, its performance is linked to the performance of a specific market index, like the S&P 500.
Yep.
However, unlike a traditional index fund, FIAs offer a level of principal protection.
So if the market takes a nosedive, my FIA investment won't lose value.
Not necessarily. While FIAs offer some downside protection, they typically don't offer full protection. The specifics of how much protection you have will depend on the specific terms of the FIA contract and the crediting strategy used. However, the trade-off for that potential downside protection is that FIAs also typically have caps on the maximum growth you can earn in a given period.
So it's a trade-off, potentially less upside potential in exchange for some downside protection. It sounds like FIAs could be good fit for someone who's a bit more risk-averse, especially if they get closer to retirement.
You got it. And because FIAs are often purchased within a Roth IRA, those potential gains could be tax-free just like the rest of your Roth IRA assets.
That's a compelling combination. But with all this talk about FIAs, I want to make sure we don't lose sight of the main event, Roth conversions. Let's shift gears back to those and delve into the actual process of converting from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. What are the steps involved?
That's a great segue, and one that's crucial for anyone considering this strategy. The first step might seem obvious, but it's one that can't be overstated. Talk to a professional.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down, expert speaker. But for our listeners, can you elaborate on why a financial advisor is so important in this particular situation?
You're right to highlight that host speaker. Because we're dealing with taxes, retirement income, and potentially complex financial products, it's not a DIY project. A qualified financial advisor can help you assess if a Roth conversion aligns with your overall goals. They can determine the optimal amount to convert each year to minimize your tax liability, and even help you navigate the intricacies of FIAs if you decide to incorporate those into your strategy.
It's like having a personal Sherpa guiding you through the financial Himalayas of retirement planning.
I like that analogy. And just like a Sherpa, a good advisor will have the experience and expertise to help you navigate the challenges and reach your destination safely and successfully.
So once you've assembled your financial dream team advisor, tax professional, maybe even a therapist for those tough financial decisions, what's the next step in the actual Roth conversion process?
It's actually quite straightforward. You'll need to contact the custodian of your current IRA or 401k, that's the financial institution that holds your account, and let them know you'd like to convert a portion or all of your funds to a Roth IRA.
Sounds simple enough.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they'll have forms for that because what's a financial transaction without a little paperwork, right?
You're telling me. They'll typically have you fill out some forms either online or on paper to initiate the conversion process. They might even have you choose which specific Roth IRA you want the funds to be transferred to if you have multiple options.
And then what? Do the funds just magically appear in my Roth IRA?
Not quite magically. It usually takes a few business days for the transfer to go through. Once the funds land in your Roth IRA, congratulations are in order. You've successfully converted those pre-tax dollars to after-tax dollars and positioned yourself for potential tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement.
That's a pretty great feeling, I imagine. But hold on, what about those taxes we keep talking about? When exactly do those come due? I'm hoping it's not an immediate thing.
It's not immediate, but it is important to understand the timing. The IRS considers the amount you convert from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA as taxable income in the year you make the conversion.
So timing is everything, as we've been saying.
Absolutely. If you convert a significant amount, it could potentially bump you into a higher tax bracket for that year. That's why it's so crucial to work with your tax advisor to plan your conversion strategically, taking into account your overall income deductions and any other factors that might affect your tax liability.
This has been incredibly eye-opening, expert speaker. We've covered so much ground today, from the compelling reasons to consider a Roth conversion to the strategic timing of those conversions and even the potential role of FIAs within a Roth IRA. Is there anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they ponder this information?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to taking control of your financial future. Roth conversions, when done strategically, are a powerful tool for doing just that. They give you more control over your taxes in retirement, more flexibility with your withdrawals, and even the ability to potentially reduce your loved one's tax burden down the road.
And that's a beautiful thing. It's about creating a solid financial legacy for yourself and the people you care about most.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, while we've covered a lot today, this is just the beginning of the conversation. The most important step is to take what you've learned, talk to those trusted financial professionals, and start crafting a retirement plan that aligns with your unique vision.
Wise words, expert speaker. And on that note, for our listener out there navigating the exciting and sometimes daunting world of retirement planning, remember, knowledge is power. The more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to make confident decisions and achieve your financial dreams. Until next time, happy investing, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.